Hi friends, it's Miss Janelle from Classroom A. Today we're going to have another Wow Wednesday. So welcome back. We're going to talk about objects sinking and floating. So when they float, they're on top. When they sink, they're on the bottom. We're going to be scientists for today. Now, what is a scientist? That's the first thing. What do scientists do? They ask a question. First, they say, what will happen if? Then they form a hypothesis. They say, I think something will happen. Then they test their hypothesis. They put it to work. They try it out. They find out. Then they record their observation. They record their observation. They write down everything they see. Very important. And then they come to a conclusion. They get an answer. They try to get an answer. So today we're going to talk about sinking and floating. So when something floats, it stays on top. When something sinks, it goes to the bottom. So on top, down to the bottom. Okay? So what does it mean to sink or float? Why do we, why does that happen? Well, let me give you a quick explanation. But we have two pumpkins here, right? I have 1, 2. And they look the same, right? But we're going to talk about density here. They look the same, but if you look inside, this one is hollow. It's empty. There's nothing inside. It's lighter because there's just nothing in it. This one's heavier because it's got stuff. In this case, it's full of wet, red sand. So this has nothing, and this has. So when something has more density, it tends to sink to the bottom. And when it has less density, it tends to float. So let's see what will happen if I put this pumpkin with a lot of stuff in it in the water over here. That's right, look. What did it? It went to the bottom. It sank. Well, what will happen if I put the one that has nothing in it? Let's find out. It floats because there's no stuff in it. It's lighter. So today we're going to test a whole bunch of objects that you're familiar with. We're going to see if a crayon will float on top or go to the bottom, sink to the bottom. We're going to see if a feather floats on top or sink to the bottom. We're going to see if rock floats on top or sinks to the bottom. And green pom-pom, that's right, floats on top, sinks to the bottom. And does anybody know what this is? It's a coin. It's called a penny, worth 1 cent. We're going to see if it floats on top or sink to the bottom. All right. And here's our recording sheet. So let's make a prediction now. Do you think the crayon will float on top or sink to the bottom? And you can give me a thumbs up if you think it's going to float on top, or a thumb down if you think it's going to sink to the bottom. And I see a whole bunch of thumbs down. So you think it's going to, you're making a prediction that it's going to sink to the bottom. Okay. All right, and I charted down our answer. The next item is a feather. A feather. That's right, a yellow feather. Do you think it's going to float on top or sink to the bottom? Float on top, sink to the bottom. Oh, I have friends all say they think it's going to float on top. All right. I have a lot of thumbs up there. Okay. The next is the rock. Do you think this little rock is going to float on top or sink to the bottom? Float on top, sink to the bottom. Oh, you think it's going to float on top? All right. Our friends say they think the rock's going to float on top. Why do you think that? Because it's little. Oh, all right. Well, we'll test it and see what happens. Now we have pom-pom. That's right. A green pom-pom, verde. Do you think it will float on top or sink to the bottom? Top, bottom. I hear a lot of float. I see a lot of thumbs up for floating on top. And now the last item we have is a penny. What do you think? You think that will float on top or sink to the bottom? Float on top, why? Because it's flat? Maybe. Let's see if it will float on top. Everybody has a thumbs up. They think it will float on top because it's flat. Let's find out. All right. So first we're going to test the crayon. Now we're going to actually see the result. We're going to test it like science. I have a crayon and we thought it might sink to the bottom. So let's find out. And what did it do? That's right, it sank to the bottom. All right. Now the next item is the feather, the yellow feather. We predicted that it would float. I'll bring a camera closer so you can see. But it is floating on top of the water. So it is floating. It is on top. Very good. Let's see what's next. A rock. Whoop. A rock. And the prediction was that it's going to float. So let's see what it does. What did it do? It sank to the bottom. It has a lot of density. It's high in density, so it sank to the bottom. So even though it's a small rock, it's made of a lot of stuff inside, a lot of molecules. So it's heavy in density. All right, let's see what's next. A pom-pom. And we said the pom-pom would float. Well, let's find out. And the pom-pom is floating. You were right. It's light, but it also has a lot of holes in it. See? So it's not compact. It doesn't have a lot of density. Very good. Now the last item we have is our penny. Some of our friends said they thought it was flat, so that's why they thought it might float. Well, let's find out. Let's see, let's get closer. The penny sank to the bottom. The penny, even though it's flat, it still has a lot of stuff to make up the penny. A lot of molecules compacted together so it's high in density. So the penny sunk to the bottom. Whoop. And I made a mistake here. Sorry. Sometimes we make mistakes. We have to be very careful when we do our sinking and floating and we mark our cheat. Because if you missed it, now made a mistake, and it should be the pom-pom, right? Let's do it again. The pom-pom floated. All right, let's review everything here. So we were scientists today. We determined, will it sink or float? The crayon, we said, it sank. The feather floated. The rock sank. The pom-pom floated on top. And the penny sank to the bottom. Well, good job today being scientists and testing, sinking, and floating. So I want you to go home or look around your home. And if you're not home right now, when you go home, test some other objects. You could test a marker. You could test a paperclip. You could test a little toy car. Try and do the sinking activity. Get a container like this. Fill it up with water. And test some more objects to see if they're high or low in density. Well, that's all I have for today. Talk to you later. See you for the next Wow Wednesday. Bye.